Yeah, yeah.
Ouch. Ow. Ow. I'm going to get comfy. So once again, thank you, Tony and Shay. They are hosting, and we're live, by the way. I don't do an intro. We just come in. We come in hot.
Come
Um,
in hot.
but thank you for hosting me at your house for the podcast. Let's get the annoying shouts out of the way. Shout outs out of the way. I have to do this. It's kind of a running joke on my podcast. All hail Tom Brady. Kenny Chesney is the man. No Shoes Nation rules. Gillette Stadium is the best. Okay, so I'm over that. The backstory on that, and I say it on almost every podcast.
You do say it on everyone.
You've listened to it, then I don't have to explain it to you. Got it.
You can explain it to the crowd.
I don't have a crowd. Nobody listens to my podcast. Maybe in 10 years I'll have an audience. Oh my gosh. So yeah, Tony works at Taps right up the road. That's how I met him.
It's Taps Growler House.
Taps Growler House. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let's get it right. Which has actually 3 locations, one over at Oak Tree Station and then one in Ridgefield, the Taps Beer Reserve. And I do like Kevin a lot, even though he's super annoying. I'm kidding, Kevin. And Lisa is a sweetheart. I think she's kind of running Oak Tree right now, isn't she?
Probably.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
I've been to the beer reserve up there in Ridgefield a couple of times, but I mean, that's kind of out of the way. But it's a great location. You guys should support all 3 Taps locations. Kevin is actually a really good guy, and I like what he's doing, has good taste in beer. Speaking of
everything
beer,
he touches turns to gold.
seems like that happens. Speaking of beer, though, Tony is a home brewer. I don't even want to say you're just a brewer. I mean, I don't want to label it
I
home.
would say it's home brewer.
Well, but you know what the fuck you're doing. It's good beer. So we are right now sampling one that you just brewed. It's a single hop hazy IPA with Amarillo hops.
Amarillo, yes.
And it is friggin' amazing. I'm putting Kevin on notice right now. If you actually listen to my podcast, you need to buy some beer from Tony. This is ridiculous. Am I just making it awkward for you right out of the gate?
I'm not going to pay any taxes.
I'm sure we can find a workaround.
Don't rope me into it.
Well, you can. He knows enough people that they could probably distribute your beer through them, and it would be all above board and on the up and up.
Right.
So.
Well, that would pull me into USC was that Title 26 871B. Yeah.
Is that part of the federal regulations on beer and stuff, or?
Well, it would pull me into the tax.
The TTB thing, is that that's what I remember Gary talking about it when I worked at Trusty. He called it TTB. I don't know, but he had to get like a license or approval through them to be able to self-distribute.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, since he was in Vancouver, Oregon's very protective of their craft beer industry, so he couldn't self-distribute in Oregon. He had to find an Oregon distributor to sell his beer.
Mm-hmm.
But he could self-distribute in Washington.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are self-distributing. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously cheaper if you can have the time to just deliver the beer. You know, you're not if you're not trucking it to Seattle. If you're just selling it to local places, it makes more sense to pay somebody to just deliver beer.
Well, Ken, I'm not gonna say that yes to that.
Okay, we don't. Feel free to expand. I don't know. You probably know more than I do, and we don't have to talk about it if you don't want.
Well, I wouldn't want to be in business, doing any business, to be in the tax realm.
Oh, right. I see what you're saying. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know. Moving right along. Shay's over here cracking up off camera. But yeah, it is an origin story. Since you have listened to the podcast, you kind of know the point of what I'm doing or why I'm doing this. And again, share whatever you want. It's not scripted. There's no bullet points. I just want to hear your story. And we've talked enough in person. 8 high schools in the Southern California area, or was there some high schools not in?
6 high schools, 2 of them twice.
Okay,
So
I'm sorry. That's why I
would
keep
be
coming
8.
back to the 8 number.
Yeah.
Right.
Within 4 years. Yeah.
But it was
There,
all.
I totally slipped through the system and graduated in 4 years. Yeah.
I don't think you slipped through. You're a smart motherfucker, dude. Come on. Maybe bring it a little closer.
All right.
I can notice
All
that
right.
my indicator light's higher than yours. And you have a vast wealth of knowledge. I want to make sure we capture this in a cohesive and coherent form so that everybody can benefit from your knowledge of life.
Sweet.
Shay is biting through her tongue right now. Did I come up with some zingers like off the top of my head? I'm a really good bullshit artist.
Good. Good.
But yes,
Just what we need.
born in Southern Cal.
Born in NorCal, and yeah, moved all over the place. So I don't really know how many places I lived, but really all over California. So NorCal, out in the east of California. So
You mean the eastern side of California?
yeah,
Like what part?
um, well, East Bay, Stockton. I don't really know.
Oh, when you said east, I thought you meant like over the mountains, like the way east, like
Oh, mhm.
east of Sacramento is what I thought you meant.
Yeah, and I lived out in Sacramento, just lived all over the place. Yeah.
And we were just talking the other night, the high schools you went to in Southern Cal, we were talking about the music scene and how like there were so many kids in high school that randomly, like on a lunch break, you would just walk through the common area and people are playing guitars.
Oh, yeah. So at Verdugo Hills in L.A., this is northern L.A., up in the Tujunga and Sunland area. I forget what town it was exactly, but yeah, Verdugo Hills High School. Yeah, just an amazing music community there of high school students, and lots of them graduated and went on to the Music Institute there in Hollywood. And yeah, it was just really, really cool at lunchtime just hearing all the different guitar players who had come to just visit because they always wanted to come and talk with the music teachers.
Oh, and this was a public high school.
Yeah, public high school, and just kind of share some stuff that they may have learned.
What was there? Did there just happen to be one or two amazing music teachers at the school that was kind of attracting artists?
Well, I think so, but really, I think just almost kind of maybe wanting to show off or just, reconnect with inspiration, and
Yeah.
give back.
And I don't like
Because
that. I don't
I would
want
get
to
a lot
call
of-
anybody out on their age, but it is relevant to the story about what years are we talking about,
This
so
is
that
in the
people will
80s.
understand.
Yeah, the early 80s.
Because we're about the same age, so
Yeah.
high school in the 80s.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the music scene, especially in Southern California, obviously was a bunch of hair bands. But was there other stuff that was big down there that just didn't get on MTV? Other types of music? Was that kind of was there also a punk scene?
Yeah. Well, there was everything, but the punk scene, boy, we're talking Hollywood. So we're
Okay.
talking glam punk.
Glam. There was glam punk, but also glam rock.
Yeah. I think everything, when I think of Hollywood,
Yeah.
as being glam.
And when you say Hollywood, is that the Sunset Strip?
That is Sunset Strip, yeah.
So there was a glam punk and a glam rock scene happening concurrently at the same time
Oh, yeah.
on Sunset Boulevard.
Hmm.
And were they playing different clubs, or was it all just mixed?
Well, I couldn't tell you exactly, but I know we had a lot of punks at our high schools,
Okay.
and they were always going to shows.
Okay. So there was a scene there for it.
There was a scene, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, if you technically think about it, like Green Day actually formed in the 80s. I don't know if I think they were from the Bay Area, I thought.
Right, yeah.
But there was punk bands in the 80s. Just I guess MTV wasn't playing them. All they were playing was the hair bands.
Mostly, yeah. Goodness, the LA scene. Yeah, I always think of like Slayer. Come from LA.
So they were from LA.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. I know Slayer, but I don't know where they're from.
And when they came up to NorCal to play shows, everyone was giving them grief on their, their leather and their spikes and studs and stuff.
But they weren't doing the glam rock thing, right? They might have had leather and studs, but they weren't teasing their hair and putting makeup on, right?
Well, in metal, if you're wearing that crap, you're a poser.
Right.
So
right.
everyone in NorCal was giving them shit about it.
But was Slayer dressed like that at the time?
Yeah.
They were?
Well, what I'm getting at is when they came to NorCal and started playing shows, they stopped wearing it.
Oh, so that's probably the Slayer I'm familiar with, when they just kind of
Yeah.
went to black T-shirts and jeans,
Yeah.
kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. But they started in Southern Cal. You were there obviously through high school, but did you also spend time there after becoming 21? And did you go to some of those famous music venues? You know, the Whiskey A Go Go and all that. And
No, not after 21. Yeah, I think, it was just, the last time was probably, my sophomore year. And then I think years after that, I was as far as like Bakersfield and Wasco.
okay.
Yeah.
And so you are a musician. When did that start? Was it real young, or was it something you came into later in life?
Came to later in life. Yeah, my dad, he got me a guitar when I was in elementary school, and I just kind of would pick it up and strum on it. And
An acoustic or electric?
it was an electric,
Okay.
and it was a Eddie Van Halen copy.
The one with the white and red stripes?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And just strummed around on it. And I don't think, wasn't until high school did I start getting into it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what led, because there's obviously a big, long story about you've actually built friggin' guitars, but we've talked about this before. What was from the time of whatever age you kind of said, "Oh, I'm going to start learning guitar" or whatever? Was it a consistent progression, or did you like take a break and then come back to music or come back to being an artist?
I think, what happened? I went to go stay with my aunt and uncle, and it's a great question. Yeah, I think I went to go stay with my aunt and uncle.
Where were they at?
John and Jill. They were in Sunland.
Where at?
In Sunland.
I don't know
or
where that.
Tahunga, L.A.
Okay, but okay.
And was it before that? I think it was around then. And my uncle was a guitar player, great
Okay.
piano player.
Okay.
And he was the guy in the family who had the music gene.
Okay.
And he just showed me some chords and
Just some basic, the four
Yeah.
chords.
yeah, and then got me a little starter kit, a little Fender
Yeah.
amp and guitar and
The package deal you can
The
buy for like
package.
$150, right?
yeah, or less.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yes. Back then, maybe less.
it felt like less. But son of a gun, man, that was awesome. Yeah, that maple fingerboard,
Yeah.
But I think it was. That's when it kind of got started, and then I ended up selling that and got I think it was a Les Paul copy, and it just took off from there. Yeah.
So what was that journey like? I mean, I can't remember. You've been in bands, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So when there's a gap there from the time that you get that crappy Fender amp and guitar package to at some point you practice and learned enough. How did you end up connecting with other musicians to end up in a band?
Oh, well, like I think it started for most people. You just, your friends, you find who plays an instrument,
Okay.
and then you say, hey, let's get together.
Let's jam.
And you go to the guy's house, and you guys just start jamming.
Okay.
And next thing you know, you add some alcohol, and boy, you're a band.
Oh my God, that sums it up perfectly. Yes, yes. Because the last podcast I did with the guest was my friend Torrin and his friend Brendan. But Torrin's story is the same. High school friends, the musicians find each other, and then the next thing you know, you're like, oh, let's we got a bass player, we got a drummer, and a guitar player, and one of us can try to sing. So let's book a gig.
Mhm.
Was it kind of like that?
No, I think so. I started learning from my uncle, then took a guitar class at school, and then just
At high school?
Yeah, just practiced my ass off,
Okay.
and just
So this is interesting too, because back then, this is before the internet. Were you buying like tablature books? Because you couldn't just YouTube a video on how to play a song. So how were you learning?
you would just well, like I said, my uncle taught me a bunch of chords,
Okay.
and then just got me teaching me rhythm.
Okay. How to
Yeah.
strum. Okay.
Yeah. And then, like I said, you just meet some friends and you just start messing around.
So what
And
was the?
then I took a guitar class at high school,
Okay.
and just studied, played till my fingers bled.
So you were literally kind of like Steve Vai has talked about this when he was learning. He would literally just go home and practice scales for like 5 hours in his bedroom.
Mhm.
Just scales.
Yeah.
He was that obsessed with it. So that's kind of your story.
Yeah, yeah. I was mostly practicing rhythm, my scales. All I had was what I had learned in school and any books I may have had.
Okay.
And then I think Guitar Player magazine and stuff like that would
Yeah,
have
because
like
wouldn't
little
that's
licks.
right? Wouldn't they sometimes print some tablature of a
Yeah,
song?
they
I
would
think.
they would print little sections.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't put like whole songs in there.
Okay.
Maybe they would like in the middle pages, but there was a lot of the other stuff I was more interested in was like the licks, the
Okay.
lead stuff. Yeah.
And then what was your musical influence at this time then, as far as the bands and the artists that you were listening to?
Well, it definitely started with Zeppelin and AC/DC. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where it started, and then it was pretty much just turned into heavy metal. You know, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden.
Got it. So not the hair bands. You were into the actual metal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But because I lived in LA, there was a lot of, interesting stuff happening.
Yeah.
And this is like before Rat was big, before Motley Crue was big.
So we're talking early 80s.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I think Rat blew up in 84 maybe.
yeah,
About the same time as Quiet Riot did and Motley Crue and okay.
yeah. So there was just lots of interesting stuff happening. And speaking of LA, I'll never forget a friend of mine and I were taking the bus to the park to go score some psychedelics.
Uh-huh.
And there was a punker on the bus, and he had a little tape recorder in his hand, and he was playing the Metallica No Life Till Leather, the demo.
Okay.
And we were like, wow, what is that?
But it was the demo of it. It wasn't the finished product.
No.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. But you heard it and it resonated with you?
Yeah, we were like, whoa, that is kick ass. What is that?
Wow. How did he get access to it? Did he know the band? Or was it a bootleg
This is just some punk rock guy on the bus. The
that
city
happened
bus.
to have that
Just
demo
happened to
on a
have it.
little
Yeah.
handheld tape recorder, a
Yep.
tape player?
Yep.
That is so cool. And you got to hear that before it was released
Yep.
in a finished product to the rest of
Yeah.
the world.
Yeah.
Did he know who it was? Did you
Yeah.
ask him, like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah.
He's like, it was Metallica.
Yep. It's their demo, dude.
Damn. That's
Yeah,
so random that
punkers
he
are-
got it because they were from the Bay Area, I think, right?
Metallica?
Yeah.
No, they're from the North Bay, from NorCal. They,
Well, that's what I
Was
mean,
it,
the San Francisco area.
yeah. So was it James and Lars were the LA transplants? Yeah, they all
Oh.
transplanted to NorCal.
I didn't realize that James and Lars were from LA.
I think so.
So
yeah.
Cliff Burton and Kirk were from
I think
San
Cliff
Francisco area?
is a Sonoma County boy.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Gosh damn. So what was your you said you needed to connect with other artists and start, jamming and stuff. What was the first actual gig you did in a band?
Oh, definitely parties.
House parties, like
Yeah,
just friends?
house parties. Yeah.
And you would set up in the garage
Well,
or
I
something?
remember, son of a bitch, I think our first party we played, there was like 3 bands,
And I'm sorry, were you in high school age or after high school?
high school age.
High school age,
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about the first party.
Oh, it was raging. It was awesome, and it was in
Was it
Sonoma.
I promise I'll stop interrupting. Was it a situation where like the parents were out of town and the kids
Oh
had the
yeah,
house
it
for
was
a weekend?
kegger. Yeah,
Okay, got it. So go ahead
multi-kegger.
and tell the story.
Yeah. But yeah, the party started early. So I think, we probably went on at like 5 o'clock or something in
Okay.
the afternoon on a Saturday. Yeah. Yeah. And then right away, everyone was totally into it, and we had a mosh pit going.
Was it a 3-piece or you had 4 of you?
There was 4. Yeah.
Okay, and
2 guitars.
were you the
bass, and drum.
singer?
No.
You were playing guitar.
We didn't have a singer.
You were just playing music.
Yeah.
There was no vocals,
No vocals. Yeah.
just jamming with metal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And was it
So we had our buddy Dan, who was going to be the vocalist, but he just didn't have anything together. Yeah,
okay?
yeah. But like
And-
I said, in high school, your friends are getting together, and you're forming something.
So this was just like, hey, so and so's parents are gone. We're gonna have a kegger at a house, and then you guys are like, well, yeah, we have our amps. We can show up and play. And I'm assuming with a real drum kit. You brought a
Yeah.
drum kit there.
Yeah, yeah. We had a drummer. Yeah, Daryl.
And just jamming. Were you doing original stuff or was
Yeah,
it covers?
all original. Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
So you guys had enough time to actually write your own.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, high school kids. I mean,
Because we don't study.
didn't
You
do
have
any-
time to write music.
like I said, I barely slipped through the system, dude.
I saw
and the
you
odd
roll your
thing,
eyes, Shay.
if I hadn't moved away from Sonoma when I did, I would not have graduated in '87. Yeah,
Really?
yeah, because the requirements kept getting lifted every year.
Oh, like raised.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so where I actually moved to and I graduated in Crockett, they just didn't have those requirements yet.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was
Got it.
able to-
So that
Sneak
and
in.
how long? You said there was 2 other bands at that first house party,
yeah.
and you guys went on first at 5 p.m.
Hmm.
How long did you play? Like an hour?
Oh no, yeah, we probably played half hour, 45 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, just jamming, but you got a mosh pit going
Oh yeah.
because it was that kind of. It wasn't the glam rock. You were playing metal.
We were playing metal, and I do know we did rip off quite a few riffs from other bands, but it just fit it just seamlessly flowed. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were rhythm or lead guitar,
Rhythm.
and then you had a lead guitarist, you had a bass player, and you had a drummer.
Yeah.
Did he have a double bass?
Oh yeah.
He did, really.
Oh, Daryl was he was older than all of us.
But he literally had 2 kick drums, or he just had a double pedal,
He had 2
2 kick drums.
Oh yeah.
and he could work it.
Yeah. Well, what you don't know about Daryl is he had some shady money. So
Well, that's irrelevant, but he was a great drummer.
oh yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
And he was a little bit older, but talented. And was he kind of the backbone of the band? Was he kind of the leader?
No, I would definitely say it was my buddy Bob.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you want to give credit to them, since we're talking about them, you can. Well, you don't have to use last names, but let's shout out Daryl and Bob, and then who
Daryl
was
and
the
Bob.
other member?
I don't remember who the bass player was. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
And were these all people from the same high school you were going to?
Yeah, except for
Except for Daryl, he was older.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Holy crap, man.
Yeah, Daryl, he was just the local badass drummer that just got recruited. Yeah.
So after that was your first gig as a band. After that 30 to 40 minute set, I mean, were you just riding high? What was that like?
Yeah.
Was it exhilarating or?
Yes, very exhilarating. But boy, that was so long ago.
It's a little fuzzy. So
Yeah.
after that, did you guys stay together for a while as a band and book more
Yeah.
gigs?
Yeah, we had like mainly parties. We did end up doing a show at the River Theater
Okay.
in Guerneville. Yeah.
I know where Kernville is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. How long was this four piece together?
Quite a while. Yeah, because I had moved away my senior year, graduated out of the East Bay, and then worked at a antique furniture shop for a year before I moved back.
Okay.
Because I knew that NorCal, the Sonoma County, is where I wanted to live. So I eventually made it back there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Worked at an antique furniture store.
Yeah, in Berkeley, California.
How serendipitous is that? Because you ended up learning how to build guitars.
I think it was my experience helped me get the job.
That's what I meant. Is
Yeah.
you kind of understood woodworking. Sorry, and then how much longer? When did you get into working for? I forgot the name of the guitar company, Alembic. But was that your first job with a guitar manufacturing company, or had you worked?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my first one. And then I think what I may not have told you is growing up, my father and we would always build wood furniture,
Okay.
our own personal wood furniture.
Oh, so you had woodworking skills.
Yeah, yeah.
And then at some point, I know we're skipping
Well,
time
I was good
here.
at, hey, Tony, get me the saw, or hey, get me this. Hold this while I cut this. You just learn by watching. That's how
Yes.
I learned.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're jumping ahead in time, I think. But at what point? How did you get connected with Alembic?
My uncle, of all people, miraculously conned his way in to getting a job in the paint department.
Okay.
Yeah, he had some kind of paint experience. I don't even know what it was, but he got himself in. Smooth talker.
Painting the finished guitars.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, huge ego, smooth talker.
Okay. He's
Yeah.
a salesman.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So
So he
got
was
in.
already working
He
for
was
Alembic.
already there, and he got me a job as an apprentice.
What year are we talking now then?
Believe this was 89.
Oh, so you were still young, just out of high school.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that their manufacturing facility or whatever was up in
Santa
North.
Rosa. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's north of the Bay Area, right?
Yeah.
Isn't
yeah.
it? Okay.
Hour north of San Francisco.
So you must have already been living in the area, and then your uncle was like, "Hey, I can get you a job here." Or
know
did
what?
you
I
move
was
for the
living,
job?
I was living in the East Bay, and he got me the job, and I was like, I'll fucking move there.
Okay.
And so, he took us in, and we lived at his house for a couple months,
What was your first position at Alembic?
sanding finish,
Okay.
sanding paint.
Okay. After somebody paints it, like finish sanding.
Well, like my uncle or the other painter would paint guitars,
Mm-hmm.
and then they would dry overnight, and the next day you'd come in early and you'd prepare the finish for the next coat of paint.
Oh, because it's a few layers.
Yeah.
And these are electric and acoustic guitars they're making?
They were all electric.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does Alembic
And
make acoustic guitars?
They do a stand-up bass, but it's electric.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. When was Alembic started? Because
This is
you
back
told me
in the
they were
Grateful-
making guitars for Jerry Garcia.
Yeah, well, this is back in the Grateful Dead days. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ron Wickersham, he's the brains behind the electronics, and then folklore goes that somebody else was making these guitars, and Ron was the guy doing the electronics. And
You mean as
then-
far as the pickups and stuff?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
every bit of it handmade.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm not super clear on it, but this is the way folklore goes. Like, I hear stories one way and the other way, arguments. You know what? It's not for me to even worry
Yeah,
about.
we're not saying what's
Yeah.
right or wrong, but tell me what you know.
So I think someone else was making guitars, and Ron was doing the electronics. And Ron already had the reputation because he had designed the Wall of Sound for the Grateful Dead. So he had this huge reputation.
The wall of, now expand on that because my friend Craig, who's been on the podcast, is a huge Grateful Dead fan. He probably knows what that is. I don't know what that wall of sound reference is. What is that?
You ever been to a Pink Floyd concert?
No.
So it's hard to describe, but it's a real deep sounding sound that they can project off the stage.
Does that have to do with the electronics in the instrument, or is it more about the PA? Or
It's
how
everything.
it's everything
combined.
together. But it's a concept. It's an idea of we want to produce a wall of sound to create an experience
That
for
is
the audience.
so big, yeah. Like
Okay.
when you watch YouTube videos of the Grateful Dead, you're just kind of getting this kind of shallow sense of the
You have to
sound.
be there live.
You have to be there live
Okay.
to experience this really rounded, full sound.
So go back. I'm sorry. Go back to the story of how the Ron guy and the original story of Alembic, and finish it. I interrupted you.
Okay. So yeah,
He was making the electronics, and the story has it.
story has it, so someone else was making the guitars, and then they came together, and next thing you know, all of the biggest bands in the 60s and 70s were using, in one way or another, these Olympic instruments, these Ron Wickersham Olympic instruments.
So when Ron was, it was already Alembic. He was already working for Alembic, or he started it.
So it's his child,
Okay.
and at some point he let his wife run the company
Okay.
because he's eccentric. He's got too many kick-ass projects he's working on to
Right.
be tied down to this one business. But when it started, I don't know exactly what the spark was that, hey,
But
let's
the
make
origin
a
of this all
business.
happened in the 60s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it by the time you got there more than 20 years after they started.
Yeah.
And your uncle was working there, got you in, and you initially started as sanding. After they would paint it, they have to put several coats on. So,
Yeah.
obviously entry level position.
Yeah, and boy, it was a wild, wild job because, you always had famous people coming through the door,
Really?
and you're like, this is just a workshop, and it's not like the cleanest place. This is like,
Okay, so
pretty
it
hippy-dippy.
wasn't a retail storefront. This was the actual production facility.
yeah.
So it wasn't like it wasn't open to the public where you could come in and buy a guitar.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, you had to buy through a distributor.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, but obviously if you're in a band, they'll let you come in and check out. And were you doing
Well, I think
made
what
to
it
order
was
guitars?
is that people from a band would come in and say, yeah, I want an instrument from you guys, but let me pick out the wood, or let me, talk to the setup guy. Let
Okay.
me talk to the paint guy and kind of show them what I want. And
Wow. So
and-
literally made to order guitars.
beyond custom. Wow. And so when I finally get up in the company, I remember coming in on the weekends, and we'd have customers fly in, and they would tell me how they wanted the guitar to feel when I would carve it, and they would sit down for 4 hours carving the instrument exactly
All
the
right,
way
so
they wanted it.
we just made a jump there. You went from sanding to actually this stuff. What were the steps, your progression at that company?
So I was working in the paint department, and then I started to learn painting, and then I saw there was an opening in the carving department.
Okay.
And so I wanted a position there because I like the more the subtractive
Yeah.
process of carving wood away and making a piece of art.
So the carving part comes in after you've already built the body of the guitar.
Yeah, and everything's
then-
bulky and square.
Yeah, and then you shave it down to
Yeah.
the shape you want. And is that only for aesthetic reasons, or is there also a sound quality art to why you're shaving things?
It's
I guess with an electric, it's not as important for
it's yeah it's
It's more about
It's more
appearance.
about the actual species of wood to give it a certain sound.
So even with an electric guitar,
Mm-hmm.
the wood is that important?
Yeah.
Because I can see why it's important for an acoustic. I mean, it's a hollow body. I mean,
Well, it's thin. Everything's thin.
yes, and but the sound was literally resonating off the wood. But
Mhm.
I always thought of an electric guitar, it's like a solid piece of wood, but still it affects the sound.
Yep. Yep. I can give you a mahogany SG and Eastern Rock maple Les Paul, and boy, you're going to tell the difference right away in the tone.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So as you went from the painting to the carving shop, that's where you start learning the intricacies of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And then did that for a long, long time, and I think it was just the attrition rate. I ended up becoming the master carver, so I
Okay.
taught everyone who came in.
Wow.
Yeah.
So by the time you're in the carving department and teaching the other carvers, what year are we talking? Mid 90s? How long did that take to get there?
Mm. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Yeah.
How long were you at Alembic?
Um, I believe it was 11 years, but there were years that the music industry was taking kind of a nosedive, and the boss didn't want to fire anybody or let anybody go, so she wouldn't have to pay unemployment.
Right.
So I just went and got another job. And then, year or whatever later, I was like, hey, you guys, picking up business? And no, not yet. And I'd call back and, hey, things are picking up. If you want to come back, come on back.
Did that lull have anything? Was that related to the change in the music scene, the change in the pop music scene that happened in the 90s when it went from, glam rock to grunge and the Seattle thing? Did that affect the sales of Alembic? Or was it that,
The economy was just not doing great, is what
Okay.
it was, because it's a total luxury item. These are not cheap
Right, because
instruments.
you guys weren't selling $370 guitars.
Right.
You didn't have a budget line of
Yeah,
guitars.
Yeah. I mean, Guitar Center sold Olympics, but
People weren't buying them.
people weren't buying them. Yeah.
So you guys were mass distributed, at least through Guitar Center, but you also were making specific instruments for specific bands.
Yeah. Yeah.
And was there again, the mid 90s when there was that lull, was it just because the bands that all of a sudden were becoming popular at the time weren't interested in Alembic, or they were going a different route?
Yeah. I couldn't tell you.
That's the business side. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think at the time I just didn't see the writing on the wall. Yeah. Yeah.
But you did get to the point where you were doing the carving. And you obviously knew about the importance of the choice of wood, the part of the log that's going to be chosen for the body of the guitar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And is it literally, I think you told me about this, you're kind of gluing strips of wood together to form the body?
At Olympic, they call it the hippie sandwich.
Nice. Reference to the Grateful Dead, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's how you build an electric guitar body.
Yeah.
Explain.
Yeah. You just cut the body pieces, glue them together. There's some things that need to happen before that, but it's pretty much you're just gluing some body pieces together, gluing some neck pieces together, cut some specific angles.
But I also think I remember you telling me that the choicest wood is where you want the grain to be the straightest. You don't want curves in the grain.
So there is, the AAA grade, the AA grade, the single A, and then on downward grade woods. And really in acoustic guitar building, that's where it's probably more important. But in electric, it just costs more because it looks nicer.
It's an aesthetic thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But in building an acoustic guitar, the choice of wood is even more important, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Paramount. Yeah.
Okay. Can I get a refill?
Absolutely.
Let me pause it real quick so we don't waste time. Ow. Ouch. Ouch. Yes, Izzy.
You're not going to just edit it out?
I don't want to have to do any more work than necessary. And I have a pause button. All right. And we're back on. Oh, that was so simple. Ouch. Ouch.
Yeah. Thanks for the break.
I don't recommend getting old, people. It sucks. It hurts to stand up when you've been sitting too long.
You just got to keep moving.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. All hail that statement. Yes, that is the key to longevity and youth is never stop moving. All right. So we've covered how to build a guitar.
Yeah, you just
So,
glue it together.
yeah, it's real simple. Anybody can do it.
Yeah, it's like making macaroni and cheese. Shay's favorite saying.
Where was okay, so let's do a little bit of a deeper dive into different types of wood. Whether it's I don't know, did you ever use redwood or I mean mahogany? I mean,
Yeah.
there's some I'm assuming every type of wood is going to give a guitar a different sound.
Yep. Yep. That's for sure. I mean, it shouldn't take too much imagination. You know, a softer wood is going to give a softer sound. A harder wood is going to give a brighter, harder punching sound. Yeah. It's that simple.
And then so there's not necessarily one that's better than the other. They're all just different, so it just comes down to the guitar player's preference of the sound they
I
like.
think I've had this conversation a million times.
Oh, then let's document
You
it
just,
for posterity.
what was the question? No.
Or is there some wood that's
That's
actually
best.
better than others,
So
or is it just preference?
It's personal preference.
Okay.
Yeah. And like I said, I've gotten that question a million times.
I'm sorry to be
Because-
repetitive. Sorry.
Well, you know what, man? I mean, people when you don't know, you don't know.
I
Until you
I
ask.
don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. I'm more than happy to help.
Oh my God,
I
that
just
cracks
wanna
me
help.
up. But yeah, I just asked the question you're sick of hearing. I picked up on that. He's getting annoyed. Okay, let's go back to your musical career, the band thing. After you had that first house party, you stayed with them for a while. Were you in bands after that?
Yeah. So I remember. So like I was saying, I moved away from Sonoma and went to the East Bay out there in Crockett, where I graduated high school, and was always trying to be in a couple bands or a few bands. So there was lots of driving and lots of practice happening.
Okay.
Um,
And you guys would just rehearse at somebody's house, or do you get a studio space?
all of the bands that I was practicing with, they just had like a garage
Yeah.
type space.
Yep.
Yeah. And it was great, but, nothing really turned into anything where you had a gig, because I think in the East Bay, quite a bit harder to play. There
Was it
weren't,
just more competitive? There were so many bands there, or
I'm not
or
sure.
there wasn't venues that were interested
I
in
wasn't.
live music?
I don't know if it was maybe the ego of everyone in the band, like, hey, we're not good enough. Let's not, put ourselves out like that.
Okay.
And they were just afraid, or, there just weren't any parties to go play.
So you guys weren't trying to book like proper venues. You were looking for house party gigs, kind of a thing, or?
Well, no, the rest of the guys would not want to venture out and do something.
They just
like
wanted
that.
to keep rehearsing.
Yeah, well, like I said, I have a feeling now that I can reflect on it. Maybe the ego was just saying, hey, we're not good enough yet.
Well, that's not ego. That's insecure. I don't want to. They just weren't confident in themselves. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when I was in Sonoma, we were like, hey, we've got 5 or 6 songs. Let's let it rip.
So at some point with your next band, or the next, I don't know how many you were in, but after the first one, at some point, did you get a singer? You weren't just playing music.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you never sang.
No, I never sang.
Okay. Even backup? Would you do backup vocals?
I did backup vocals. I was maybe a little too hot for the mic. Wasn't that
You
my
projected
P's?
too much, you mean?
Yeah,
or?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was using my outside voice.
There's
so to
nothing
speak.
wrong with that.
Oh man. So we played this. We had a Metallica cover band, and we played this bar, and we had a singer. And me singing backups was just like, I didn't need a microphone.
So did you almost, when you were trying to come in on the chorus to back up, you almost overpowered the singer?
Right, because I didn't want to mess up my playing. I had to just let it out.
It was like stress relief.
Yeah, it was like stress relief. You don't want to mess the timing up on this.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
But what I haven't mentioned was in Sonoma, we had our high school talent show, and we actually did 3 song Metallica covers,
Okay.
and we played, and we had our friend Dan sang in that.
Okay.
Yeah,
And he
he is the one who became the singer in the band.
okay, and he
Yeah.
could kind of do a James Hetfield thing. He can kind of sound like him.
Kinda. Well, we had I forget what this piece of equipment was called, but it was a piece of equipment that Slayer used to use on tour. That this band, there was this kick-ass band, I can't remember what their name was, but they were in Sonoma, and someone from the band was friends with them, and we were able to use this piece of equipment, and you could change your voice to sound like anything.
And we're talking, what year was it? They had some
was
kind of an audio
late-
processing piece of equipment.
Uh-huh.
So it wasn't a harmonizer.
It was something like that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It was amazing because we can get Dan to sound a lot
Okay.
like James. Yeah.
And you would just run the mic through it and then
Mhm.
into the mixing board.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you could it was probably on the stage, so you could change it in real time. Oh, we're going to do this song. Let me adjust the settings and I'll sound like this. And
Yeah. It was off to the side of the stage. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, that was really cool to be able to use a piece of equipment that Slayer had been using on
Yeah.
tour.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So again, how many bands total were you in?
Not many.
Okay. And this is but
I've never thought to count.
were you in bands at the same time you were working at Alembic?
So at Olympic, no. Or actually, yeah, I think it was just the Metallica cover band with Bob. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was just kind of a off the cuff thing. It was, they let you build an instrument every couple of years. And it was my time to build an instrument, but I couldn't really afford one because you had to at least pay for the wood. And I
Because this is good shit. I want to hear it. There we go. But so wait a minute. You just touched on something. Alembic would let their employees build a guitar like once a year or two,
every couple of years you would get to build your own instrument.
like start to finish.
That's
you would-
what build is.
You would pick the wood and
Yeah.
do the whole process.
Uh-huh.
Is
But you
that
don't-
is
you
that
don't
the
get it
is
for
that the
free.
bass you showed me last time I was here that
Yeah.
you built?
Yeah, you don't get it for free. Yeah, you gotta pay what the wood costs. You gotta pay.
Well, you have
what
to
the
pay for
electronics cost.
supplies, but
Yeah.
they're not going to charge you like a retail price. You just have to cover the cost of the material.
Right. So I think with my bass, it was very cheap. I don't want to piss anyone off. Yeah.
We don't have to share that, but they let you build that from the ground up. You pick the wood, and it's a beautiful bass. I remember seeing it.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, that is fucking cool. But is Olympic still around?
Yep.
Okay.
hmm
Damn, seems like it was a pretty good company to work for.
Yeah, I think until I don't think they're ever gonna let that company go. I think it will stay in the family till.
So it is still
the
the
end of the
same
family.
family that owns
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
And what was the guy's name? Ron?
Ron Wickersham.
Is he still with us or?
As far as I know, I mean, I haven't heard. I've got feelers. I've got people who are, always checking in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't.
How old would he be now?
I wouldn't know.
70s?
Well, I would say at least, yeah.
Maybe 80s even.
Yeah,
But, so
maybe
he's probably
80s.
retired, but yeah. His family still is in control of the business.
Well, he's just doing what he loves, so he's probably been retired for a really long time already.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Ron actually had a contract. He actually had built some speakers that went into the space shuttle. So
Like, really?
outer space, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the guy he's really into astrology, or not
Okay.
astrology, but
Astronomy.
astronomy.
Yes. There's a
So
difference.
He's a mathematical guy. Yeah.
Okay. But he put some speakers in the shuttle so that the astronauts could hear what Houston was talking to them about.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's fucking awesome.
Well, what's even more awesome is that I remember when he built this sound system that he built for venues.
Mm-hmm.
You know how you go to a concert and you have the
Yeah.
the
You have
house
you have the
system.
main, you have the house PA, but then you also
Yeah.
have monitors and all that shit.
So I'll never forget when he finished designing this system, and he's had all the employees walk 3 blocks away, and he would play with the mids and the lows and the highs, and you're like, oh my God, it sounds like a handheld, speaker right in front of me from 3 blocks away.
So it projected that well,
Hmm.
but it wasn't annoying. Like it wasn't that it had to be just cranked up so loud it was annoying. There was something about was it the EQ or just the actual product, the speakers themselves that could send the sound a long distance without being annoyingly loud.
Or distorted.
Yeah, it was clear.
So clear, like I said, it's like the speaker is right in front of you.
Wow.
The guy is, like I said, he designed the
He's
wall
a
of sound for the
savant.
Grateful Dead.
Wow.
The guy has
The wall of sound
knowledge.
thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's got knowledge just beyond anything you can comprehend. Yeah, but when he did that, I was super impressed with this guy. Like,
Damn.
yeah.
So let's do a side note here because I was a DJ and all that stuff, so I'm more I'm very interested in the whole technology of sound. You've heard of the Myers speakers. A lot of the big venues use Myers sound. Because a sound, if you go back to like when the Beatles played Shea Stadium, they were literally playing through the horn speaker system that the baseball team had there. I can't imagine how horrible that must have sounded. But now we've gotten to the point where, the standard is you have the hanging speaker arrays on each side of the stage, and then you'll have the subwoofers on the ground. There is...
And then you've got the stage speakers facing the band.
Yeah, so everybody has monitors,
So
but
the
nowadays...
crowd is getting a little bit of that.
They are.
Well, even though it's facing the other way, bass is non-directional. You can't face a bass speaker one way and it not go all directions.
Right, but I mean, the subwoofers are pointed at the... Oh, I see what you're saying. The subwoofers are, even though they're pointed at the audience, that's going to project in a 360-degree direction all the way around. So you're saying the bass goes both ways, but the mids and the highs don't necessarily?
Not as much, yeah.
Is that why it's so hard to EQ a live performance? And although I would assume that the invention of in-ear monitors has made it easier, because you don't have to... There was always this battle of trying to balance the volume on the stage through the monitors with the volume on the PA going out to the venue. And before we had in-ears, it must have been a nightmare because you want to play it loud enough so that the audience has a good time, but that also drowns out what the singer on the stage, who usually is behind the PA, he needs to hear himself in the monitor, but you don't want to turn that up any louder than you have to, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So talk about that whole balance and science.
I wish I could talk deeply and
Well,
wax on
you
about
can. You've been
it.
in a band. You can talk more than I can about it.
Oh, Ken, yeah. Your guess is as good as mine, and I'm just kind of using my common sense on that one, man. Not much to say about that.
We don't have to do a deep dive on that. I've just always been intrigued with it because, again, I was a DJ for like 15 years, and then eventually I had enough I would run sound usually just for like acoustic artists, you know, a guitar and a mic. But I did run sound for a full band like one time, and I probably fucked it up bad because I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Yeah, you don't want to scoop that sound.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez, dude.
Don't ever do that, please. You know where
But
EQ does this.
oh,
Don't ever do that.
we've talked. It's coming back to me. We've talked about that is not how you EQ something. No,
Right.
you're. Oh my God, you're right. And you can look at the EQ on this. I think I've got this mixer dialed in, which is why I keep using it. But it's not. It's not the U.
As long as
Who
I
came
sound,
up with that idea?
as long as I sound younger.
You sound amazing.
All right. Yeah, man. So yeah, so bass is just non-directional. You can point that speaker any which way you want. You know.
Because you almost feel the bass more than you hear it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, yep. And I've done deep dives on watching YouTube videos of actual sound engineers, people that, you know, are running sound for a major touring act. I remember watching the guy that, because obviously I'm a huge Kenny Chesney fan, but his sound guy was talking, and Kenny Chesney plays like football stadiums every summer. So we're talking 60,000 people. But he was talking about the sound setup, and he was like, we have this, you know, huge stage we set up with the speaker arrays and the bass and all that shit. And it's so big in a football stadium, they have to set up a second set of speaker arrays at the other end of the field that are on they're flying them high to catch to be able to project to the audience that's at the other end zone. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And Kenny's stage, he usually has a T-shaped stage. So here's the main stage with the band, and then he'll have something that goes out into the audience and T's. So he spends almost all of his concert time with a live wireless mic in front of the house PA, which introduces your own EQ challenges when you have a live hot mic in front of the PA. And he works it out, obviously, with technology. And thank God for in-ear monitors.
I was just going to comment. Yep. Yep.
Yes, that makes everything so much better. Not to mention, I feel like those have to have helped artists avoid hearing loss, because it also protects you from the house PA, and you can hear yourself without having to turn the stage monitor up so loud. But it's almost like you have earplugs in, but you can hear what you need to hear. You can hear your vocal track. You can hear, I don't know, whatever. Everybody's different. I'm assuming you might want to hear the drum, or you might want to hear the guitar, but they can adjust how loud you're going to hear the lead guitar or the rhythm guitar or the bass, whatever you need to stay on track with the song. They can adjust it. And you have a belt pack on, so you can adjust your own volume.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, seriously, best thing ever invented.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely, man.
Because I think I've heard James Taylor talk about losing hearing, because obviously most of his career they didn't have those things. And Brian Johnson, AC/DC, he's had his hearing problems. Huey Lewis, he can't perform anymore because hearing loss. Yeah. Comment.
We're all getting old.
I prefer to say we are aging. We are
I think we said it together.
like a fine wine.
Yeah, we're aging.
We get better in the bottle.
Mm.
So, was it about 10 or 11 years at Alembic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think it was 15 overall.
Right.
But
With
like,
some breaks, obviously, but
there was big break. But you know what, man? I went out and got some really cool jobs when I was on that break.
All right. So again, had some great experiences, learned some other skills.
Life was just one big great experience, man. Yeah.
I like that you have
I'm
that
so
outlook.
grateful.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. You do seem to be like a person, you and Shea Bolt, that seem to be just like grateful for life, which I like. I like meeting people like you guys. Yeah.
Totally.
So how did you end
Oh.
up? How did you end up in the Vancouver area?
Well, we did a little research on what the weather was like
Mm-hmm.
in all kinds of different areas. I mean, really, we could have been anywhere in the country.
Right.
Um,
But I
and the
know
West
you're also
Coast-
you're an
the West-
outdoors guy. We've
Yeah.
talked about the mountain biking thing and all that shit.
Yeah.
So was that part of the appeal?
It was always part of the appeal. I think it was a huge draw for me.
Okay.
But the West Coast has just got, we're closer to the kids. Closer to the kids.
Oh,
We're just.
I don't think we've touched on that. So, how many and what are their names and whatever?
Justin and Janae.
Okay.
Yep.
And they're up in this area.
Janae is up here.
Okay.
She's a dental office manager.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Uh,
Gosh, Shay told me she used to work at M&R Cellars, right?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
But she's in nursing, you said?
No, she's the dental office manager.
Okay.
Yeah, at our dentist. So yeah,
Here in
super-
Vancouver?
Yeah,
Oh.
super convenient.
Very cool. That's awesome. And then Justin is
Down in California.
okay.
Yeah.
But you guys, you said you did your research and kind of picked this area. Part of it, obviously, because of Janae, but sounds like you did some research on the climate, the terrain.
Yeah. Well, Janae came up after us, but researching on the climate, because we're from California. You got to make sure that
Yeah, it's a little bit different.
It's a little bit different, and you know what, man? We really love the seasons, the rain, a couple inches of snow every year. I mean,
And so many
just
outdoor
paradise.
activity. Well, what's really cool about where we live, and you know this, I'm sure, an hour and a half you're at the beach, an hour and a half you're in the mountains, and everything in between. Yeah, but tons of outdoor activity options. You do get the seasons. You have a nice summer, but you also get some snow. Somebody you might relate to this. It was my friend DJ. He was on the podcast, and he spent time going to school in San Diego. And I remember him because he was also a football fan. So I remember him making one of the most hilarious statements I've ever heard. He was like, dude, I never thought I would get sick of sunny and 75. It's like, can I get a fucking cloud because I need a reason to sit on the couch and watch football? But if I wake up every day and it's sunny and 75, I feel like I have to go outside.
so he's from California, and he said, "Dude."
Well,
I'm not
no.
surprised."
He actually was born and raised in Texas, but he went to college and graduate school in San Diego area. So he spent a lot of time there.
So
and
he's from Texas. He's cool.
Yes. Yeah. He is an amazing person. He's actually my chiropractor. His practice is right off of 192nd by the QFC, which is close to my apartment. Really good guy. I've been going to him. But yeah, he was like, I never thought I would get tired of perfect weather. So was that kind of the appeal of moving up to the Northwest, is you actually get seasons?
Yeah, we get seasons, but it was just, the fires were just too much stress. When it rips through the city.
Oh, well then I don't even know, what year did you all move up here?
5 years ago.
So that would have been in 2019, right before the pandemic. Perfect timing. You moved up
was.
here and everything got shut down.
Well, thankfully, I had a pretty cush job.
Nice.
That it wasn't affected. Yeah.
So let's talk about that, because we gave a shout out to TAPS and all that. But how did you get connected with TAPS?
It was just the local watering hole, man.
Oh, you guys already lived here.
Yeah.
And you found that place accidentally. Was that
Yeah.
in 2019?
Yep. 2018.
Jump on Mike, Shay. Well, I want to hear your story, and you don't have to get on Mike, but tell me.
You worked at Cintas for 2 years first before you worked at TAPS.
Yeah, I'm about to get to that.
Oh, I know Cintas. That's isn't that a uniform or office? Do they do uniforms? Work uniforms?
Services.
Services for businesses.
Yeah.
I know the company.
So,
Okay.
you know, you go into the restroom and use the paper towels. and
Yes,
stuff.
that's
Yeah.
what it is. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. Bring the towels for, you know, wiping the glasses.
But 2 years there, and then you were in this house, which is
So
walking
in
distance.
Santa Rosa, I worked at Cintas
Oh,
for
okay.
2 years, and then I saw an opportunity to transfer anywhere I wanted in the country.
Oh my
I
God,
could
that's
just transfer.
and that's when you started doing the research of where do we want to go,
Yeah.
and what appealed to you about the Northwest?
Well, we wanted to move to Portland, and Portland just wasn't. We came up for a week to check out, you know,
Yeah.
places.
Had you ever been up here? Either of you had been to
We
the area,
drove through. Yeah. we
but
drove
not spent
through.
time here.
Nope.
So you didn't really know about it. So you took a week to explore.
Yeah, and we looked at rentals, and we were like, yeah, we're really going to do this.
Okay.
And we didn't find anything. So we walked back with our tails between our legs, and we just kept looking. You know,
Okay.
we were pretty beat down after that, but we kept looking. You know, we kept our head up, and Shay talked to the realtor from this place and did a virtual walkthrough, and then showed it to me and was like, I think this is it.
Nice.
And what was cool is we were looking at it on a phone, and it turns out that it's bigger than what we were looking at. Like,
Good.
it felt real small on the phone, but we were like, anything to get us out
Right.
of Santa Rosa.
Well, that was a happy surprise when you actually got here. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
it's bigger.
Yeah, we got here super late at night, opened up the back of the Penske, brought our bed in, slept, and
Oh, jeez.
the next morning, you know, rolled, you know, back the truck up to the garage, and it started raining.
Welcome to the Northwest.
We were like, this is beautiful.
So that was 2019. Was it early 2019, like February, March, or if it was raining, I'm assuming it was winter, or maybe spring.
That was August 1st, I think.
Yeah, we get rain in August, I guess. But yeah, okay.
Yeah.
August 2019. Literally like 7 or 8 months before the fucking pandemic hit. How long? And you transferred to a job at Cintas up here. But then,
Yeah.
so how long was it before you encountered TAPS? I mean, it was a local watering hole. You guys just kind of wandered up there and
It was
found
months after we lived here, we found TAPS.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of our local place to go have beers.
And at some point,
Well, at some point, I was like, fuck Cintas, to put it bluntly. Sorry, people. Yeah. It was just a beat down, so I was like, I got to get out of here. It's just driving me nuts. So Shay and I just were at TAPS talking about it.
who was your first contact there, Paul, or was Kevin still working? Back in the day when
Paul.
it first opened, Kevin worked a lot, but
Yeah, Paul and Gabby were always the ones we saw. You know,
Okay.
we saw Phil once in a while, but
Okay.
and then I guess there were some other people that worked there, but they were not very friendly,
right.
not open.
But at some
I
point-
was just some new client.
It just came up in the conversation like, do you guys need help? Was it kind of like that easy? Are you looking for a beer tender?
I think that's what it was, wasn't it, Shay? Yeah, we just like, hey, Paul, are you hiring?
Yeah, you hadn't worked in a couple months, and so you're trying to decide what do I want to do. And I said, this would be a good gig.
Oh, good.
You
You
should do it.
yeah, you can
and
walk
Lauren
there.
walked up and he was like, yeah, are you looking for any help? And she was like, don't be pulling my leg. Like,
Right.
you're serious,
That's awesome.
And so she said, well, then,
Yeah,
me and Paul
Lauren,
worked on it.
don't be pulling my leg.
Holy shit.
Don't tease me.
That is so funny. Again, it's just random connections and coincidence. And I will tell you, this is a true statement, man. I think it was when I first started talking to you at TAPS. I mean, we're talking months ago because we've been trying to do this for a while. But then I would go in and see Paul, and I was like, fuck, man, Tony seems like a really interesting guy. And Paul has nothing but good things to say about you. He's like, this guy fucking gets it. He has a work ethic. He's the perfect person I was looking for to work here. So yeah, Paul raves about you.
Well, that's
Now
good.
me,
I mean,
he has like zero tolerance for. So
well, that makes perfect sense, Ken.
I
Come
know.
on now.
I'm a lot to take. I know that. Oh
You're
my
a damn
God.
Costco employee. Come on now. You you would.
I don't want to work there. No. I'm good. I'm good with my 40 hours a week at
You're
Costco.
gonna retire at some point. You're gonna be bored.
I'm
and Taps is gonna be there
well.
for you.
And you guys, I think you guys know that I worked for a brewery, but I also worked at Northwest Liquid Gold, and
we've
so I
seen
know
you
how to.
working-
I've
We've
been.
seen you working at Costco. You're one of those. What do you call it? What are those guys who parkour? You're a parkour guy,
Parkour.
dude. Yeah, you'd be perfect at Taps.
Yes, I
Pour
have to
this
give.
beer, make that pizza.
I
and
have to give
cash someone
at least
out.
another 13 years at Costco just to build up the 401k. But
That's gonna
even at
fly
that
by.
point, I'll be 65. Even at that point, I might just cut back to part time just for the benefits because the insurance and all that stuff is so fucking good, and you get the same benefits even if you're part time. So I might just turn into the guy at the door checking your card for 24 hours a week. I don't know. I did have a good time working at the brewery behind the bar and all that stuff, and at a Gold. I did, and you
so
don't have to.
you know why I picked Taps is because it's just got the perfect clientele.
Yes,
It's not that rowdy.
That is where I was
bar
going with
scene.
this. I think you knew where I was going with this. I have no
Yeah, man.
patience for the drama or the bad
well,
drunk
the
customers.
customers, they rock, dude.
Yes,
I mean,
yes, they do. Every time I go in there, they are so welcoming. Good people, good conversation. Yeah, it's a good environment.
I mean, occasionally, we got to deal with Chad and cut him off, but I mean, you know.
Don't just say names. Now I have to edit that out.
Please do, yeah, yeah.
You're creating work for me right now. No, it's awesome. And again, Kevin is like one of the most amazing people. Again, I started going in there when he first opened it, and that was his only location. And I was working for Trusty at the time, and he would buy beer from Gary, who owned Trusty. And God, I was like, God, you just are, you're a fucking ball buster, but you're a good guy. I can tell you're genuine. And I like what he's doing, and I like that he's been able to expand. And yeah, apparently everything he friggin' touches turns to gold. So.
Can't wait till that fourth location.
Are you sharing stuff that's not public knowledge? What is it? Or are you just
I'm pre-paving.
Oh, okay. So he doesn't have plans for a fourth, but you're assuming he might.
I've never talked to him about it.
Okay,
I don't know.
good. I thought you were sharing insider stuff. Like, does he already have a place?
It's like I said, I'm just pre-paving.
Okay, got it. He probably will. I don't know. At some point, he may be like, 3's good enough. I don't know. Oh my gosh. I'm going to check the runtime real quick because I think we've gone over an hour. Ow. Ow. Oh, yeah.
All right, so you can edit that down to 59 minutes?
Nope. No, I'm not going to edit anything. You're going to be fully exposed, and everybody. In fact, I'm going to post this on the Taps page once I upload it to YouTube, and all of your amazing customers are going to hear Tony's story. Yeah, we can wrap it up, though. I seriously appreciate your time. I think you're an interesting person, and obviously,
for coming over,
Shay is my
brother.
favorite because she has the best name ever. Shout out to Terry Brooks and the Shanara series. But yeah, thank you for hosting me. And we can probably do it again sometime. But I'm going to shut it down and probably pour myself another of your amazing single hop Amarillo beers.
All right, brother.
Seriously, thank you guys both.
Right on. Cheers.
Oh.